I feel sorry for you. And I feel sorry for you.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Overwatch All-Stars Brawl 4, presented, of course, as always, by Star Esports. This is a double elimination tournament dedicated to the Overwatch Tier 3 community. Today we're going to be having Forefront take on What's Your Peak in match number, I believe, 8 of the main bracket here. Today I'll be doing your play-by-play for Zach, and along with me is Got Moxie on color.
Hi guys, we're gonna be back hopefully with just as an exciting Overwatch game as we previously saw, but before we do, we're gonna be joined today by a very special guest. He's called Kanto, he's here with us today, and he is the head coach for the Forefront Esports team, and he's gonna give us just a little bit of information because these guys, they're not your average team. They've pretty much just got their roster together and they're already making quite a splash for themselves.
Yep. Going to be joined by Kanto here, head coach. Kanto, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Just got off a pretty long cast, pretty exciting game. Hoping to see the same thing here. So explain for the audience kind of like who you are and what you do within Forefront Esports.
Yeah, so I'm Kanto. I'm the head coach for Forefront Esports, and I mostly focus on the communication, positioning, ult economy. I really work to make sure our team is like all on the same page with how the meta works. You know, each individual's job and position, the specific maps, or just in general for those comps, and then like also how to counterplay or counterpick enemy teams who can swap up their play style or comps. Because we've been seeing more so than like in the GOATS meta, there's more like individual teams have kind of like their own niche, I feel like right now, and especially with the patch notes that were just released, like that's something that we're already starting to work on, trying to get ready for that kind of thing. So that's the stuff I really enjoy doing, and that's something that I feel like our team has done well adjusting to.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite a lot listed off there saying that you're the head coach. Do you have other people that kind of help you out with what you do, or is it just kind of feel like a one-man army at times?
So originally there were a couple other coaches. They kind of got busy with life stuff. I do have a manager that helps me out a lot. So that helps me not have to take care of so much of the behind the scenes stuff. I can mostly come in and I really love this team. I really love coaching, so I spend a lot of time. So it's not a big deal to me that I am the only one at the moment. And also my players are very smart and very interactive. So they kind of do a lot of the stuff that like an assistant coach would do anyway. So that's been a good fit for us.
Yeah, and as we were talking about before, your team fairly recently formed actually, and have a pretty good so far understanding of the game and understanding of each other, placing, you said, I believe, top 16 in the most recent Breakable Barriers?
Correct, yes. We finalized the roster December 10th, 2019, so not super long ago, and we played both the Breakable Barriers and placed top 16 in week 2.
Nice. Very good. I mean, for a team that's pretty new and coming up here, you're definitely showing off your colors, showing off that you're definitely a force to be reckoned with, wouldn't you say, Moxie?
Definitely. And on that topic, we're going to be seeing quite a few, probably just meta picks. You were saying a little bit earlier, but out of the team. And not asking you to name any favorites. is there anyone that we should really be looking out for? Who's going to be the one that's going to be showing up in the kill feed the most today?
Oh, that's a hard one. We have a lot of players that can just pop off at any moment. I really love this roster. But I'd say if you got to watch out for somebody, oh man, our DPS are very explosive. It kind of depends on the day, you know, it just depends who's on fire. I'd say IDK, a lot of the times, he's on the heroes that are easier to pop off in this meta, I feel like. And so he does do that a lot. So IDK would be a big person to have your eye on.
And before the game starts, we like to give people who come on and be just a little bit social an opportunity to really shout out anyone that they feel deserves it. Is there anyone that you'd like to name today?
I would just like to thank our manager for all the work that he does, and then also just the team. They you know, even in the short amount of time, they've been through a lot together. I'm very impressed with the commitment that they've shown, the drive to improve, the stuff they're doing outside of scrims, the extra VOD reviews one-on-one that they do with me, and then just the way that they communicate as a team. Absolutely excellent. Could not ask for a better team to work with. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys sound like you really kind of have it all meshed together to start us off here. Well, I think that has to do it for our little pre-match interview. Thank you so much for coming on here, and good luck to you guys coming up in this match.
All right, thank you for having me.
Feels like they sound like the best team. Why can't I queue these guys on my ladder games? Sounds like they've got everything sorted. The comms, the organization, the cooperation.
I mean, you know, that's just stuff you definitely want to see going into pretty much any match, as long as the team's staying coordinated, keeping that communication going and making sure that they aren't going to be tilting each other and just keeping a good headspace. I mean, just going into this match, I can already tell it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, but there is that one really daunting obstacle. These guys, they have only formed in December, so they haven't been playing together very long, so you do have to have that communication key in understanding when to go aggressive, when your tanks want to go more forward, when your supports want to fall back, and if there is just a little bit of gap in between, we will be seeing what's your peak pulling just a little bit ahead, being the more experienced.
Yeah, I think experience actually goes a super long way here, not only when it comes to the game itself and understanding the fundamentals of it, but also knowing your teammates and understanding their tendencies on whether or not they're a super aggressive player or one that may be a bit more passive when it comes to those approaches.
You absolutely have to have this vein of just one whole mind as 6 whole people. You cannot have that kind of disparity between when someone wants to go forward and when someone wants to go backwards, because one person will always be left behind, and at this level that will always be punished and nearly all the time result in a lost team fight.
Yeah, teams very often will notice things sticking out like that, whether they may not get it the first time. When there's a trend, and most of these teams will pick it up. Now with this timer going down here, starting us off on Busan downtown, should be pretty good. It looks like we're going to have a Farm Mercy, which is going to be the difference here. And actually kind of a different tank combination here when it comes to a Hammond and a Sigma instead of that Orisa.
Finchu is going to be such a pain for Honeybee to deal with. The Hammond's going to be constantly running in the backline, and he's already going to be making his presence well known ahead of time.
Yeah, but he's going to be the first one actually taken out, too, as a matter of fact. And they're using that Orisa shield right now underneath the point to get themselves in a nice, secure spot. But because they were playing a little bit farther back, Finchu was able to get rezzed. But because of that res going down, they were able to take out 1DK there. And now it looks like they're going to be able to take this point. Probably going to send them a little bit farther back here to kind of rethink their strategy going into it.
DK is going to have to play so carefully on this bar. We're already seeing that they're trying to hide just a little bit behind those massive big buildings so that Melon doesn't get that clear shot off. But Basilisk as well, the DPS from a Batiste can do so much to take Afara down.
Yeah, right now Forefront are definitely trying to look for that little bit of an opening that they can try to get here. The Baptiste Matrix is already down, and now the May is just running up there to try to freeze him. The Immortality is down, but it goes down a little late there. Melon able to get the kill again onto 1Decay, and now they're just going to have to fly back. They're already down the 2 players, one of those being the tank and the other the Forest. So now it just kind of feels like if you go in too deep, it may be all for none, but they're actually going to decide to use the Matrix here as well. Maybe a little bit of a lost hope there, unless they maybe decide to switch things up, and that's why they decided to use it there. Not quite sure.
But you can't. With the Mercy, you have to have so much healing out for your other teams. And if you put the Batiste onto the bench and pick another support, you just will not have enough sustainability, especially if you're running into Batiste then, who's already coming up close to this Transcendence. Yes, Finchu has the mines, but you have to get in and out alive. If you really want to find the value, just go straight onto the point, but there's no team really to back him up at the end.
Yeah, they run over onto the point, but the barrage right now is absolutely massive. It's able to pick up 4 and make that 5 now, just being able to fire that one missile. An absolute decimation from that barrage. Everyone was so focused on those mines, they didn't see the fire coming in from the top ropes to just lay it down on top of them.
Basilisk actually puts the immortality field down, but it's just not in the right position to survive the onslaught of rockets, and so it will finally be Forefront picking up that point, but it took them so much. Pause like 74% on the board already for Watch Your Peak, and they've got the Blizzard to boot. If you look at Forefront, they just won't be able to survive the freeze without the lamp in place.
Yeah, they just placed down that lamp actually on the side of Watch Your Peak, so now Forefront are trying to play a little bit more passive. They use that immortality. It looks like actually the only one that's going to get picked up right now is Kidra, and it looks like he's actually going to be taken out. Finchu over in the back line. He seems like he's been getting taken out a lot. Maybe this Hammond pick isn't exactly what you want to go with here. They've been really punishing his aggression over in the back line. The res comes through though. The Hanzo now back up online, but the Sigma getting taken down. It looks like this point is going to be flipped back over.
There really does seem to be a disconnect in the way Finchu's playing and the way Banana Demon wants to play. The Sigma seems to be much more passive, whereas the Hammond goes straight in, even when it's a losing battle, and that's exactly what happens again. And Hammond has so much HP, he's just a living battery for the side of Watch Your Peak, who can just cycle through all of their ultimates. They've still got the Blizzard pause out, they've still got the freeze on their side. It's going to be so hard to grab this point back for Forefront.
Yeah, they're going to have to be really careful about this one. Finchu switching over to that Orisa, so maybe they might be able to make their way through that Blizzard, of course, with that Fortify, since they won't be able to get affected by that at all. Right now, it looks like Falcon's actually stuck inside the Sigma Flux, and he's actually going to die to that. And now they've used that Blizzard, they've used the Matrix now going now on the side, and the Barrage now coming out again, getting 2, both the DPS. This Barrage seems to get value every single time it's used. Press Q to win, it feels like right now. Does get taken out by Basilisk, though. But, of course, the point has already been won.
1DK is finding so much value on Farah that you arguably should not be finding. You're running a barrage into 2 shields, and yet both times you survive with your life. As soon as you see the Farah, you have to take her out of the sky, or she's just gonna take you off that spot.
Yeah, and coming up to this next point here, you know, I mean, Milan's been doing an alright job at trying to keep the Pharah at bay, what it seems like for the first part here, but now, every time they get their ultimate, it makes it a little bit harder. The Dragon coming through here, the pole, not quite able to get anybody, so this Dragon's not going to see much value. Actually, I take that back. Somehow, Kindra, I think, gets stuck somewhere in there, but the res, of course, is just going to come right through to bring them back onto the playing field. Just taking their way slowly up here right now. 1Decay already going down is definitely not what they wanted to see right now. This Pharah's been putting through so much damage. The fact that they're down right now is not good for them, but Falcon's kind of off on their own, so if they're able to take him out as fast as possible, that'd probably be the best, but they're stuck in the sky away from that immortality, so they're just going to get absolutely decimated when it comes to damage here. And while this fight has been going very back and forth when it comes to percentage-wise, I think finally it's been decided that Watch Your Peak is going to take it.
Well, yeah, no one on the side of Forefront is gonna be able to come in, and Finchu had swapped onto the Arista, so isn't gonna be able to get that contest. And we really do see, I think, that little bit of miscommunication costing that team so much. If they'd had the Arista from the start, if Finchu hadn't been going in as aggressive as they had been, then maybe the ultimates on the side of Watch Your Peak wouldn't be up as quickly as they were, and we would be seeing a different result on that map score.
Yeah, I think the Hammond is a good pick, but when it went up against this team, they were just so ready to stop a Hammond in their tracks that it just kind of took a little bit too long for them to realize that. So while it was a 99 to 100 in the end, I think it could have swayed over to their side if they did make that switch a little bit sooner. I completely agree with that. And now going into this next one, we're going to see the tank lineups still differ from each other, but this time with Orion in place of that Sigma.
It's going to be so hard for Falcon to find value, though. He needs really the support, and it's going to take a Lucio and a Batiste to keep him up, because once that shield goes down, your HP is absolutely put through a blender if you're the German Crusader.
Yeah, but the Immortalities come down and the May Walls are kind of splitting up the teams right now. This definitely is an opportunity for What's Your Peak to kind of put a little bit of damage through right now. They aren't able to secure any kills, and actually Finchu has to back up super low, and so is Nyan Sox. But actually having that Baptiste ultimate super fast online, that may be one of the fastest Baptiste ultimates I have ever seen built. He hasn't used it quite yet. But
He's 9% behind, but it's not going to be enough. Although Ox goes down, Forefront, they have the ultimate, but they're losing people left and right.
Yeah, the Maywall went right on top of it, and now, I mean, as you can see, just everybody just falling down right now. 1Decay just trying to do something up there on the Hanzo. The Maywall was actually put right in the middle of it, and both the Hanzos actually end up trading each other, but in the end of the day, it was pretty much a 1v1 there, and, you know, neither of them really came on top, but it happens.
Well, I'm looking at Falcon right now. It's going to be really hard to land this Shatter, but if you manage to play it right, all of Forefront will be on their backs and won't be able to respond to the cleanup, and you have two options, an Amplification or a Hanzo Dragon to go through.
Oh my god!
He gets the triple with the Fire Strike!
That's absolutely beautiful. That's absolutely what you look for when it comes to these matrices. You know, you time that with the Fire Strike and the pull. All around perfect synergy there. Is able to pick up 3 kills with just the Fire Strike alone, absolutely securing the team fight. 1 ultimate and 2 abilities to follow up behind that, just absolutely decimating Forefront right now.
They can't even get their foot past this choke, and with Falcon still sitting on the Shatter, it's gonna be even harder for them to approach the point.
Yeah, now the Dragons come through here. The wall's been done, and it looks like he's going to be able to pick up a 3K with that Dragon as well. That Immortality stuck on the other side of the wall, unable to help the rest of his teammates out, so now they're going to have to back up over to the point, and coming in pretty close here to last fight territory as the percentage ticks up for What's Your Peak.
That was the absolute mind gamiest of mind games that I've ever seen. Falcon goes into the team. All of Forefront expect the Shadow to come out. None of them watch their back for the Dragon coming through, and so the picks are absolutely huge. Kaiser has got the Blizzard finally online, and this is the win condition. Are they going to be able to get the picks off they need to happen?
Yeah, both these Blizzards come out right now, but the only pick seems to be onto Finchu, and now Kendra follows up behind, but a really good flex, able to pick up 4 players. Actually able to kill 2, as a matter of fact. Banana Demon now making a little bit of a play, but no one's able to touch the point in time. What's Your Peak? Able to take Busan. First map, done.
Well, we saw in the first round of series today that those points, they go by pretty quickly, but they don't always tell the tale of the games that's going to be coming. So Forefront definitely going to be showing a little bit more signs of life towards the end, but sadly just not able to get onto point.
Yeah, I mean, What's Your Peak was doing an amazing job with their ultimates. The Matrix, and, you know, they were able to coordinate that Fire Strike with the pole, and then after that, they were able to use that Dragon Strike to get everybody walled off. So they threw the Immortality out really far. He notices that, just going to go ahead, shoot that behind them. It's guaranteed to either pick up a kill or completely put those teammates away from each other and make that still a fight secured win. So all in all right now, it looks like they do a really good job at managing those ultimates to try to get the most out of them.
Forefront, the result of that match, it has to be pretty disheartening to see. Your compositions both times when you ran that Hammond, when you ran the Orisa, and when you ran the Sigma, just kind of get absolutely waylaid by What's Your Peak. But there's still an opportunity for these guys. They've shown promise. There's a reason that they got top 16 in breakable barriers. We did actually hear from Kanto, a lot of players do have that ability to pop off, but from the sounds of it, it's a very inconsistent ability. And that can sometimes be not so good to have in a team. You want consistency rather than the chance to get the 5K, as opposed to that assured going to get 2 picks, open things up for your team.
Yeah, I don't think consistency is going to end up being a problem here. I think it's just really going to be noticing how your play is being affected by the enemy, and that you need to realize those things sooner. I think that most of these teams are going to stay consistent. I really don't think it's a thing of inconsistency between the team. I think it's just kind of that late knowledge of, okay, well, since they're running this composition that's completely destroying this Hammond, let me switch over to Orisa. Or, oh, they're running this Reinhardt, they have a Mei that's kind of sitting up there. You know, we just keep getting walled off up top. Maybe we want to try to go with the off angle and try to go underneath or something to try to change it up. But they just kind of kept going in the same position and meeting with similar results.
I mean, stubbornness is one surefire way in Overwatch to see not just yourself die, but that defeat pop up onto your screen. You have to be flexible. There are 31 heroes in the game. There are so many options for you to pick and choose, but sticking with exactly what you've been running, or sticking with to a point where it's already too late, yeah, that's not gonna be the way to win the victory today.
Yeah, but of course, you can't count them out yet. We saw it before in the previous match. Just because you lose that first map, what may seem a little bit shaky doesn't mean you can't turn it around and turn it back into your favor. And now we're going to be going to Rialto. And let me remind you guys to vote for your MVP down below. Remember, the MVP vote, whoever gets it, whether it's on the winning team, losing team, doesn't really matter. Whoever you guys decide is that match's MVP, we will bring them in here for a post-match interview, and we'll be asking them questions into some things that they do, that their team does, and kind of get the understandings of how the mechanisms work behind it.
I mean, even if he doesn't win MVP, honorable mention to Falcon. This guy dares to play Reinhardt in Overwatch 2020 into an Orisa and a Sigma and still finds value for it. That alone is wonderful to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun playing Reinhardt, you know? It's just all around a great time. And, you know, great times just kind of keep coming when you're following Star Esports. So don't forget to follow us here over on Twitch and go check us out on YouTube. We have our Twitter. You can also follow us there, and just remember to kind of stay in tune with this Tier 3 community. You know, we really do appreciate all the support that everybody is able to give us and to help keep this tournament going.
Yeah, well, tournament will still be going. It's not quite the end of the line for us tonight. Feels like there's still plenty of people to die, plenty of team kills to be going on, and of course, that MVP to be crowned. Rialto is one of my favorite maps. I'm gonna say it. It's one of my favorites. A couple of people I know dislike it because of the environmental kills, but they make my soul sing when I manage to get that 3-person booth as Lucio.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good map. I think my favorite part about it though is the looks of it. I think it's a beautiful looking map, honestly. Like the design of it just looks really nice. But I mean, when it really comes down to it, you got to think the design isn't going to really matter too much. It's going to be how it plays. That really kind of defines whether or not you like it or not. And I mean, the environmental kills are definitely a plus. You know, nothing's better than getting play the game as Lucio and 3 people booped off into the water, because apparently nobody in Overwatch is able to swim.
It's strange. I mean, some of them there is logic behind it. Like, you have to imagine that Orisa would weigh an absolute ton, but then you have Zen who floats and yet somehow still drowns. But that is logic to be argued over for another day, because Finchu is back on the Hammond. They're gonna be looking for the environment, but again, he's been shut down so quickly on that pick before, and you're playing it now with Banana Demon still sticking on the Sigma. You cannot have the disparity in your aggression types that we saw present on Busan if you want to find value.
Well, right now, 1Decay actually going down to Melon. I think the Hammond could be an alright choice here, considering they don't have this Mei. I think this could work out in his favor, considering they have these double snipers, so he could be going in the backline and stopping them. But stopping them right now is just Kindra over here, getting his counterpart over on the Widow Melon. This Immortality Field's going to go down here after Finju goes in, does a slam, and it's already down. So now they put up their own Immortality Field. Gets focused down fairly quickly, though. But they got to be careful. Over in the backline, Banana Demon was actually able to take out Zera, while everyone else just wasn't paying attention, and now everybody's just collapsing on top of them. The Pharaoh with the missiles, the Hammond with the pile drive, and Banana Demon just finishing them off with the damage boost and just trying to get these last few kills.
Yeah, but Honeybee will prove that there is truth to the rumors. Zen is just a third DPS, gets Hydra out of the fight. Rez is not actually going to be invested there, but Finji gets a little bit of revenge for the DPS, and that card is rolling towards point A with those mines coming closer and closer to shut down that contest entirely.
Yeah, losing the Zen isn't the worst thing in the world. So right now it's really just all up to this Baptiste to put through as much healing as possible with this amplification matrix coming through. Banana Demon just running in there, doing as much damage as they can onto these tanks as they're trying to contest the point here. Being met with missiles into their face. There's not much they can do. What's your peak? Have lost their first point here and are going to be backing up.
Honestly, at this point, I'm hoping for one of the DPS on What's Your Peak to be swapping. Melon teased the Junkrat. I think that was a little bit of a misclick. They're going to be swapping, so Zera is going to go onto the Mei. Melon's going to be taking up the Shimada mantle. So they're going to be putting all of their faith into those walls, into those CCs, but you're past really the place where you can find the full value of the chokes that can be shut down. Be not so much known for all of the places that you can punish with a Mei.
Yeah, and Finchu running in there with that mines. But 1Decay in the back line, able to get both DPS. You'll trade those 2-for-1 deal right there for him. and it looks like they're just going to keep trying to push up here. Since that May is not in the play right now, Finchu pretty much can just run in without anybody kind of contesting him. The only thing that can really stop him is possibly a rock, but even then there's not much they can do, and the res comes through onto 1 decay, so that 2 for 1 was a 2 for none now. Falling onto the ground, they stack the Immort and the Transcendence though on top of each other. Finchu does get taken out, and we can see since they're on the May, hopefully they swap over to that Orisa, but it looks like What's Your Peak is actually going to be able to sustain themselves here and not give up any more cart.
Well, this is where 1DK is going to find the real problem. Trying to get back into the fight as Pharaoh when a defense is already set up, it's so hard because on point B, there's so little places that you can hide around. You have to cross that bridge eventually, and all there is open sky.
Yeah, and now, I mean, it should be a little bit easier for them to try to pick out that Pharah, so they're going to have a lot harder of a time 1DK trying to do something, but I mean, if they get that barrage, it's just every time they press it, they always get that kill, it feels like. It looks like Kingdra's actually trying to get a little bit of a cheeky kill jumping over on the side there. Of course, it's going to be stopped by that Sigma Bear, you know, someone notices they're going to throw that out really quick. Here comes the Matrix, though, into the pull. Doesn't look like anything's happening too far, but Kydra actually finds Honeybee in the backline. The Zen is down. They're not going to have a little bit of healing in that Discord now. The main thing is gone. Losing out on their Sigma, though. The picks are now going very back and forth. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to secure too much now, but the Blizzard comes through to make this a guaranteed fight win, or so it may seem for the side of What's Your Peak. But now, Banana Demon back up. Kydra actually takes out the Baptiste, so this is looking a little more winnable for them. But alas, it was all for none. Slowly getting taken out longer and longer. Nine Socks is trying to fly out, but can't quite make it. Finchu coming back on that Hammond. Might want to go back and swap back to that Orisa here.
Yeah, she is still here though, behind enemy lines at the moment. Gonna be by the side of his team, so they don't actually collapse onto the hamster do What's Your Peak. And 1DK, keep your eye on the Pharah. Has the barrage up, has the back alley available. Looks like they're gonna go in for a little bit of a drop down, say hello, press Q, and hope to get some picks.
Yeah, and Honeybee's actually stuck in the backline right now, trying to 1v1 Finchu. Of course, Basilisk is there to help him out. But of course, here comes that barrage. He's able to pick up one, but going down pretty soon after. So now both the DPS for Forefront are already taken down. They're going to use the Sigma ult. Doesn't look like it's actually able to connect with anybody, though. Banana Demon frozen, but of course isn't going to be followed up on too hard. Finchu now over there pile driving, doing a lot of damage. They have no more supports on the side of What's Your Peak, so it might just be over for them here if they're able to sustain themselves. But Falcon and Banana kind of trade each other out here. Looks like Arx is going to be rezzed back into this fight here with the Baptiste. The picks still going very much so back and forth, but I think they might be able to do it. It looks like they're going to actually be stacking both of these support ultimates here, using the Amplification Matrix and the Transcendence to try to make sure that this fight is secured. Kydra goes down, and what was really, really close into being capped, and what I honestly thought was going to go to Forefront, now goes over to What's Your Peak.
Yeah, they do manage to take it, and it's pretty much because Kydra, the Widow who wasn't actually getting pressured, isn't able to connect the shots. Transcendence is like, yes, but headshots don't really take that into account, and 1DK on the last minute is now going to swap to the hands of trying to build this dragon up. They've got the Sigma Flex, they're going to be able to use it to open things up, but again, we've said it so much today, Porzak. Basilisk, the Baptiste, gonna have the immortality field up. You have to pressure him out if you think you're actually gonna pick up anything with that one.
Yeah, I mean, this Flux right now is definitely going to be the only thing that could work out for them. They got to make sure they get that immortality down. I mean, how are they going to be able to focus that out? I imagine it's going to be the Hanzo trying to go in with a different angle, but everybody's so spread out far apart. They're shooting them in the air. They're able actually to get down the Orisa. It's not good, or it's no good getting taken out here, but I don't think they're going to actually be able to push much further. Melon now kind of going on a little bit of a spree here, getting these body shots, but it's securing the kills. So might as well. They're just absolutely running in here on Finchu. No one's going to be able to touch this point, it looks like. I don't think anyone's fast enough. It's going to be this Winston that's going to be the one that's going to be trying to get there in time, but Melon's just absolutely obliterating everybody that walks into his crosshair.
Melon proving that he is more than a capable Hanzo after having to take that one up for Zara to be able to pick up the mate. And we really did see the turnaround as soon as those swaps came in for the side of What's Your Peak. Everything that was going right for Forefront just suddenly started going very, very wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, now that they're going to be going on the defense here, I mean, they did a pretty good push. I think they should have gotten it probably a few times over, honestly. So maybe not the best they could have done there. But of course, here on the defense is a whole different beast. How are they going to be able to hold this here? You know, what kind of composition are they going to go with? Are they going to go with kind of like that double sniper that we saw? What's your peak run on the defense here? Are they going to stick it with the Hanzo Mei? I'm not quite sure. I don't expect to see anything too crazy come out of them, but who knows?
I mean, I kind of expect to see a little bit of pharmacy coming out again because, to be honest, 1DK managed to just run a little bit amok through the beginning. Does really start to get pressured down only when you go for your barrages, but apart from that was finding so much value from just raining damage in from afar, not being picked out for it. And so seeing him go for that one once more, looks as if Forefront are just going to be trying to hound all of What's Your Peak so that they ignore either 1DK or they turn their faces to the sky and forget about Kydro, who's there with a bullet in their back skull.
Yeah, well, it looks like we may be having that Pharah Mercy 1v1 or I guess 2v2 going on in the skies here, which could be very interesting to see. Maybe we even see Melon swap over to the Widow to kind of try to get back with that. The Hanzo, of course, has that projectile. Looks like they're going to be running back in spawn. I think they might be doing just that in a second here. Yep, they're going to swap over to that. But of course, 1DK has already won that Pharah battle in the sky, taking out Zira immediately here, trying to boop some people off as they come through this little bridge here that could be easily tossed into the water.
Yeah, Melon is now going to be onto that Widow, trying to hunt down Kydra, so it's up to these 2 DPS, or 4 DPS really, to try to open things up. If they can get an early pick either side, it's going to be an absolute huge in opening up this next team fight.
Yeah, and I mean, now that these barriers are down, they're holding this corner here on Rialto. This is probably the best corner to hold, especially since we're here on first. It can be just an absolute stop for some teams. If you're able to break through it, you're usually able to cap the whole objective here. But taking all these different off angles, Melon's actually able to take out Kydra, but 1DK is still just using all of these rockets to their advantage, taking everyone out. But right now, losing out on that Mercy, Kydra, or 1DK might not be able to do much without her. And in fact, he's going to get taken out by Melon. Now it's just going to be Finchu on this point here, trying to stall it out for as long as possible, using that Fortify, but they're going to be starting to push this card a little bit further now.
But 1DK is going to have the barrage, and yes, it's going to be so hard to get out of the spawn without being spotted, but if you can land it onto one person and one person only, you can still get a really good contest going, especially with Arch sitting on this Batista amplification matrix. You're going to have to be so careful with your immortality field, so they have to be out of sight, otherwise they're just going to be ripped down.
Yeah, but someone has to touch. They have the barrage coming into the backline. They're able to pick up 3 with it so far, make that 4. Kydra actually wins that 1v1 against Melon right now. They're going to be able to take this point back with a massive barrage coming into the backline, perfectly set up. They went around far over on the side, and they made sure that all the attention was put onto the point. They used that matrix on the point. They were looking for that Sigma, but they weren't ready for that far in the backline. But Melon decided to take him out this time.
Yeah, there's not going to be any immortality field to keep that Pharah alive for an ultimate, let alone for a couple of bullets. And the res is completely denied as What's Your Peak encroach on all of the space, forcing Forefront to back just a little bit off, make that a lot. They lose Kydra.
Melon doing an amazing job right now, hitting all of these headshots. They have to back up a little bit. The immortality's been used here. Banana kind of by himself here on the point. The pull coming through. Is that going to stop the res? No, it's not. Not in time, at least. 1DK now back up on the field. Melon looking to get that pick. Falling over into the backline. The dragon comes through, takes out Banana Demon and Finchu. A very good dragon. And now Zira also able to take out the Pharah along with that. They're going to be able to push this point now onto the first cap.
This is just a wash of blue in the kill feed, and Forefront they're gonna have to start changing things up. 1DK gonna be going on to the Hanzo now. They know that the Pharah just is not working. It seems like it works for just a little bit, and then suddenly all of What's Your Peak just knuckle down and decide that they know how to deal with a pharmacy, and they show up just so much damage. Kydra's actually going to go on to the Mei, so you're trying to build up your Blizzard to stop that payload in its tracks. But Falcon has the Sigma Flux ready to go, and again, Niansox has to keep cool, keep the team alive.
Yeah, but losing Basilisk right now is absolutely perfect for the side of Forefront to slowly make their way up here. And stuck now by a wall, they're going to try to get another pick. They pull them off, but of course there's a boat there, so not much is going to come from that. They still have to back up a little bit and wait for their Baptiste to make their way back. They don't want to be too aggressive and lose someone. But it looks like they're going to lose Falcon. Melon, though, is going to decide, hey, you know what? We lost our Baptiste. Let's just take yours out, too. But unfortunately, they are just going to have to sit back and wait for that. But right now, it's just kind of picks going back and forth right now in this little poke battle.
All things are balanced except when it comes to ultimates, because Watch Your Peak are clearly out in ahead with those. Basilisk sitting on this amplification matrix. Honeybee waiting with the Transcendence. Doesn't matter. Forefront, they're going to swing things back into their favor with a couple of picks that way.
Yeah, and a pretty good pick onto Melon to start us off here, but an amazing Flux right now is able actually to take out Arcs on that Zenyatta right now. So far, still looking for a few more picks. Nionsox also going down now, so absolutely no supports right now up for Forefront. It's going to be very difficult to try to keep themselves on this cart here, and I mean, this is the last fight. I mean, they're so close to capping this objective. 1Decay is just going to use his dragon, actually headshot Zero. You know, a little bit of a, you know, why not? You gotta throw it out there. It's gonna be the last fight pretty much. Is anybody even gonna be able to touch the point? I don't think so. Arcs was the closest one. Nionsox is actually gonna be able to throw on their Immortality Field. Finchu's made it onto the point with that Hammond, and the Flux is actually gonna go through. The Immortality's already down, and that's actually got quite a few people in it. Both of these DPS, or both of these supporters could go down, but Honeybee ready with that Transcendence now up. Finchu taken out, but Basilisk is now also taken out, so they're not gonna have a lot of healing to continue this fight, but it looks like they don't really need the healing. They're able to put through so much damage that they're just able to get everyone off the point and finally cap it.
Well, Watch Your Peak, they built up so many ultimates in their bank that they didn't really have to worry about that contest. It was always a matter of when they would get the point rather than if. They just had too much for Forefront to be able to handle, and sadly, that will be Rialto coming to a close and pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, we've seen amazing plays from 1Decay and from Zero. Both of these people on the DPS here have been doing a really good job, but we can't forget about earlier when we saw that amazing Matrix pull Fire Strike. So keep your eyes out for who you're going to want to vote to be the MVP. Now that it is 2-0 in favor of What's Your Peak, we could be going into what is the final map here. So don't forget to vote down below.
Well, we had a 6-mapper before. Now it looks like we could well have a 3-mapper just now. So I like to think this is the universe finding a little bit of balance for Zach. One match will be massively long, one match will be entirely short, but I'm hoping that Forefront managed to pull this one back. They have shown signs, 1DK with some of those superb barrages, but they can only last so long because it takes a while, maybe 1, maybe 2, but eventually people start learning that you should maybe watch your back, or in this case, the sky.
Yeah, I mean, I think 1Decay was doing a great job at just kind of like watching out for the enemies to kind of be focused on something else and then going in with that. So I think if we want to see more of that going into it, I mean, I'd be absolutely all for it. It looks like the ban, though, is going to be on Oasis, a map that has very much two really good Pharah decisions here. But it looks like the one that Forefront's going to go with to go into their map number 3 is going to be King's Row, which, I don't know. What do you think we're probably going to end up seeing here from them?
I feel as if King's Row is one of those maps where if we are ever going to get to see Ryan Zarya in professional, serious Overwatch, it's this map. It's one of those original maps where everyone loves to play Ryan and everyone loves to play Zarya, and if you can get that Death Ball composition into the face of an Orisa Sigma with that Lucio speed boost being reverted, you can absolutely stomp over them.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Lucio in there. I mean, I think Lucio is honestly, if you're at least on the offense, running a Lucio instead of a Zen is your best option, honestly, because you're just able to get in their face so much faster. Their Zen, what is their Zen really going to do if you're just rushing in their face? Put a Discord Orb on you, and then it's just going to come down to their raw mechanical skill, and if they're able to hit those shots to stop you from obliterating them, meanwhile you have your whole team going in, it can be very difficult. So I think a Lucio running here would be absolutely insane.
I mean, it also takes away the chance for the enemy to really rein in some chaos, especially if you can have them on the back foot. If you can manage to cap point A, then you go into Streets phase, and we see what so many teams do, and they push really aggressively so that they manage to take about 3/4 of Streets without having to really worry about a proper cart contest. Because the defenders, they're constantly on the back foot. They have to worry about 3, maybe 4 people if you have one on the cart, one to make sure that they don't get jumped by some flanking DPS or Reaper. Then you really can just cancel out all of that fight and send teams packing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think especially on the street phase, because once you capture that first point, I feel like it's so necessary that you just kind of leave one person to move the cart and then have everyone, of course, take that space. You know, if you really don't do that, it just kind of feels like you're wasting valuable time and effort that you're spending on the cart when it could be taking all of that space So, I mean, that's something they're probably going to want to look out for. It looks like right now with what they're running, I don't assume they'll stay on this for the offense. So let's take a look over at the defense here, running that standard meta composition that we've been seeing so much of recently. And honestly, a great one at that for what these abilities are and their cooldowns. So no surprise there. This Mei is just absolutely dominating this season.
Well, we talk so much about all of these walls being perfect fits for all of these chokes in King's Row Gate. First choke, it's one of those where Mei Wall just fits wonderfully into those. So if Banana Demon or Finchu gets caught out and they're not running the Lucio, so there is a huge possibility, then it could be devastating for the team, but the Mei Wall does come in, Kydra making sure that they don't get caught out by Bun.
Yeah, they got through the first choke pretty easily. They were able to put that down and actually taking out the Orisa super fast, and there's no way they're going to be able to bring them back up, of course, no longer running the Mercies as they were before. So I think they're just going to probably be able to walk in and take this one. Now losing both your tanks, yeah, I think this is a pretty quick one fight there.
It's almost as if What's Your Peak got pretty cocky. They knew that they'd taken the last couple of maps pretty easily, so they didn't really have to cobble together a contest. Like, Bun could have put that wall in so much sooner, but instead they just played too passively and they lose point A, all because of that misplay.
Yeah, Forefront did an absolutely amazing job. I mean, as soon as they got that pull above that shield, immediately everybody just focused firing onto that Orisa to make sure that even if they did use that fortify, that they were at least going to take a lot of damage, if not go down during that fight. So really good job. And actually Honeybee right now is in an awkward position where they're right above the point looking for a kill on the enemy Zen on the cart. The Discord's been put onto them, but they're just going to stay up there. They don't want to get themselves lost. So now it's actually sending the team backing up a little bit, so not taking as much space as they want to, but this Matrix now coming down as the Immortality comes around this corner to make sure that they're going to be able to peek this still without getting killed by that.
Yeah, but Basilisk is going to have an amplification matrix to answer of his own when that one runs out, and so they will be trying to hold not the corner that they're currently at, but probably the corner just a little bit behind them. That's what teams really do like to put that proper defense in.
Yeah, and I mean a really good matrix there along with that rock. So much damage coming through there with Immortality just wasn't put down fast enough for that. So now already losing out on 2 players here. It's going to be really hard to recover from that. Now Kydra's stuck out on the side. They're just going to be sent packing all the way back to spawn and have to go at it again.
And now all of the space that Forefront wanted to take up is going to be occupied by the full force of What's Your Peak, and they are not going to make it easy for these guys to set foot back onto that payload. Kydra is going to be coming up to this Blizzard, and the NTK does have the Dragon, so they do have that potential to combine ultimates if they so choose. But Honeybee, if they wait just a little bit longer, it does have that potential to come to the Transcendence.
Yeah, I mean right now losing out on Basilisk is just absolutely insane. They're going to be able to go in here. They don't have to worry about an Immortality field stopping this Dragon. They're just going to toss it right in down the main here. Honeybee also now going down, so 0 supports whatsoever for the side of What's Your Peak. They're just going to be looking to stall this card out for as long as possible because they know soon they're going to be hitting the ground and have to go back to spawn, regroup, and I think they're going to be able to cap this point most likely. I don't see them making their way back here before it gets capped.
But like, is it me, or is it that What's Your Peak supports are just in really awkward positions at the absolute worst of times? You don't want your BAP to go down early. Likewise, you don't want your Zen to go down second.
Yeah, I mean, they have been playing what feels like very off angles to try to get a quick pick, which I could see maybe for the BAP because you have a little bit of leeway with your mortality, but then it feels like you might waste it sometimes. But the Zen is a little bit different here. The Dragons, though, are going to come through here while this fight's going on. The Immortality down. All this damage going through this Matrix right now. They still have the Immortality field down, but Falcon's actually going to be the first one picked up here. The Blizzard comes through. Honeybee, of course, absolutely ready with that Transcendence for just that. But, of course, on the other side, Arcs is also ready with that Transcendence, and it looks like one is definitely bigger than the other. A bunch of headshots coming through, and it looks like everybody from What's Your Peak falling down. Falcon, though, makes his way back here. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to take someone out if I can. I'm going to use this Flux, see what I can get with it. It looks like they're not going to be able to get anybody with it. A few people went low, but it doesn't look like anybody's going to go down as they're moving this cart very slowly but surely. Now, using that Gravital Flux over in the back line to try to get whoever they can. They're actually able to get Basilisk. And it looks like this Dragon coming on a cart is going to be able to pick up Bun. All these going down by What's Your Peak. Actually, it's no good. Is able to actually get 2 people off. That's pretty impressive. This actually might be able to turn the fight around for a little bit, but it looks like possibly not. Very close, though. I thought they definitely had a chance there once they got those 2 picks, and he was just kind of swinging around.
But it was too little too late. Yes, the defender spawn is so much closer, but Forefront had already established such a huge presence on the cut. Having that hands of being able to just step a little bit out of the action and put the dragon in without being worried about being taken out was absolutely key, because it meant that all of Watch Your Peak did not want to step onto that. No one wants to step into the path of a spirit dragon because it will just chew your head straight off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a scary thing to try to go up against, especially when you aren't ready with that immortality field. And now, I mean, look at that time bank, almost 4 minutes, pretty much the base time for attacking here on this point. I mean, it's going to be a tall task to ask for What's Your Peak to try to match that time, and even a tough task to even try to make it to the third point, honestly.
It feels as if the teams have sort of flipped sides and ideologies, right? Because we're seeing that there's not a division in the amount of aggression that Forefront want to run with, but we're seeing a huge gap in the aggression that not the tanks this time, but the supports of What's Your Peak want to run with, because Honeybee and Basilisk have both been a couple of times out of position trying to get those early picks or swing things the way of their team. Maybe they should be playing Widowmaker with how they're playing, because it ain't fit for Zens.
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to be super aggressive, it felt like. I think that's probably going to be their ultimate downfall when it comes to this map. I can't see them trying to make a comeback here. I mean, it's such a large time bank. It's not impossible, but it's definitely going to be a tough task. And right now, it looks like they're going to be running that mirror matchup yet again here, keeping that meta composition going.
Well, it's going to be, again, these maids trying to decide who's going to get through this choke, who's going to get separated, and who's going to get picked up early.
Speaking of separated, look at these, all the members right now. They're all just kind of either at high ground. We see 3 at the high ground on the left. On the point is really just Finchu. And then at a really cool off angle, Nyan Sox just able to put in a bunch of healing without really having to be in the fight.
Yeah, this is a really nice place for a Batiste to actually reside, because if you feel pressured, you can just put your lamp right behind one of those doors and it won't be hit by anyone on the ground.
Yeah, but the main wall coming up right now, and there goes the immortality. The shield went down for Finchu there, but it looks like they're going to be able to just keep it up for a second. Nobody really going down. A pretty long time for actually no one to be going down, about a minute in. And there's the first one. As I say it, 1Decay is the first one to go down here by Melon. Now the Matrix coming through. Finchu trying to hide behind this telephone booth, and Banana Demon going in for probably a close kill there. Accidentally killed themselves with the rock, and after about a minute on the time lost, they're going to be able to make their way into the point and cap.
Well, not quite as fast as we saw the previous point A cap, but still pretty quick. That's no time to sweat at it. And now we're going to be seeing both Melon and 1Decay try to battle it out, figure out who's going to get an advantage. Front goes in, doesn't connect with anyone. That's Falcon trying to build up the Sigma Flex before Archers is able to get the Transcendence online. But what is online is the Amplification Matrix, and Melon falls early.
Yeah, speaking of not online, Melon's not online right now as this Amplification Matrix comes through here, absolutely taking him out super fast. Basilisk following soon behind, and now it looks like everybody's going to be falling down. So this is really good for them, because they're going to be able to hold this super close choke right where you cap the point. It's very difficult to break this a lot of times. You're probably going to have to go through a couple of fights here. Looking at the ultimates, though, pretty even so far. So whoever really uses these ultimates to a higher standard is going to be the ones to take it.
The difference is Kydra has the Blizzard with Archers there to back up with the Transcendence. And Bun has the Blizzard. Honeybee does not have the Transcendence. The Kydra puts the Blizzard in now, and they initiate. They can find so much value with it.
Yeah, and they're just slowly making their way through here. The Blizzard comes down. It looks like it's actually going to be able to pick up 4, but Arcs, of course, is ready with that Transcendence to get everybody in there, make sure no one goes down. Now the Dragon coming through is actually able to pick up Bun. And, of course, Falcon getting super low because of it, having to run out. And it looks like they're going to be able to hold this choke for a little bit longer.
They're able to hold that because 1Decay had the Dragon ready. They waited just a little bit too long to put the Blizzard in. Honeybee managed to hit Transcendence, so all the damage was negated, but that runs out. And when it ran out, there was just a Noodle Dragon ready and waiting for all of those kills to come their way. And at the moment, it's no good. It's just a little bit separated, but Forefront, they're not really actually going to be playing that aggressively. They don't capitalize on the Orisa being away from the pack, and now it's going to be an actual 6 versus 6 slugfight.
Yeah, and this Dragon coming through here, I was really scared about, because it doesn't look like they're going to be able to make it into the Immortality. They weren't grouped up close enough. Melon able to get 2 kills with that, and then Kydra over on the side because of the Matrix putting that through. So it looks like they're finally able to break the choke, but they lost about 2 minutes in the time bank, and I think they're probably going to still have to fight to cap this point.
Oh, absolutely. Forefront can muster together a defense. They've got so many ultimates as well to help them on that task. Yes, it's no good. It's going to have those superchargers of their own and Falcon a Flux, but it's going to be really, really hard to make sure that it doesn't get taken out because you don't have the luxury of getting to set up behind the wall.
Yeah, but the Bongo coming out and both Sigmas now, I believe, using their ultimates, going up into the air. Of course, those immortalities are there to stop any of the kills that could be coming through because of that. But the Cures coming through right now are going to be on to Args and Mazilis. Millen, though, also now down. One Decay is able to get a few picks here, which could stop them from being able to push this a little bit more forward. Losing out on that Arisa is absolutely massive. Now, 2 remain on the cart, slowly being taken out now.
And 1DK is going to be able to have those dragons as well for this next push. So you are looking just a little bit better on your defense. 2 minutes 22 that you have to hold on to this point for, and that card is going to slowly start to rumble its way back. If you are what's your peak, you have to come in for eco pushes. You have to start building ultimates up so you can come in with some massive combinations to sweep all of Forefront away.
Yeah, and I mean, going into this next push, about 2 minutes remaining. They don't really have too many ultimates to go up against. They have that Blizzard, like stated, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to see too much value out of it. Could be very good, but I think the Transcendence will be up for both teams, so it's going to be very difficult. Not quite sure. It looks like they're making, I don't know. I wasn't sure which way they were going for a second there. It looks like they're going to be going through main here. Going to try to get a pull, do something with that. Of course, the Sigma Shield ready for anything that's thrown at them. The Ice Wall, though, going up there to block off a few of the teammates. The Dragon, though, comes through, and there's not much they can do because of that. They can't throw the Immortality up there. They threw it on the ground. Now 2 people are out. Your main support and your main tank. You just have to back up now. There's no other option.
But you have the Blizzard and you've got the Transcendence and you're coming up to a Flux. On the other hand, though, you really didn't pull out as many ultimates as you were hoping. So, yes, the other side, it's the same story. Both of these guys, same ultimates to work with. Whoever finds more value with this, whoever starts pressuring the Zen into trancing early is going to get so much advantage over the other and definitely win the cut.
Yeah, right now, 1Decay is on a little bit of an off angle. They know he's there, so they're going to probably be keeping an eye out for him. Hopefully that should keep them distracted. Kydra uses that Blizzard now. Falcon frozen, and of course Honeybee has to use that Transcendence to keep him up. But IDK, or 1Decay rather, is going to be able to take them out, taking out Melon and Basilisk, and now not so good, and everybody is going down with about 30 seconds remaining. I mean, that Hanzo is just able to get so many kills right now. 1Decay is just absolutely popping off.
But Arch has kept a hold of the Transcendence. They still have something to see them through this freeze that's gonna be coming in. They can fall themselves out. They've got the Flux. They've got the Superchargers. They're gonna have so much damage on their side. They just have to have the target focus. Take out the healers, collapse in on the tanks. Worry about the DPS when the rest of the team is gone.
Yeah, they gotta be careful not to use these 2 on top of each other because Arx has to pop it because of that Dragon coming through. He got pulled into it, so he's popping that a little bit early. The Dragon's going to come through here. It's actually going to be able to take out Falcon. Bun also going down. Both Sigmas are off the field, but this Blizzard absolutely massive, getting a lot of people in it. It looks like the follow-up's coming in a little bit later, but it might be just enough to make them be able to go through and cap this point. Right now it's Melon able to take out Kydra on that Mei, and now Zen also going down on the point, able to cap it, but with only 1:30, there's no way they're going to be able to cap it with time, if that.
They have 1 minute 23 seconds and counting, and it's the Sigma Flux versus an Amplification Matrix. The difference is you can walk away from a Matrix, you can't walk away from a Flux if you get caught out.
It's fair enough. I mean, if you get caught in that Flux, you're just going to have to hope that Immortality comes down and that in the air you're not going to be focused too much, but it looks like a lot of it's coming down right now, and actually the picks aren't going to the side that was using all those ultimates. It was more going to the side that used that Matrix. The Matrix right now is doing absolute work, and 1Decay is still just showing up on this Hanzo, an absolute unit right now.
He really has been so big for his team. The Pack Dragons, the picks, just wonderful to see, and we can really see Hanzo's such a monster in the meta right now. You can break those shields like butter with those arrows, and now it's gonna be lost fight territory. 35 seconds, Kozak. I'm afraid that What's Your Peak just aren't gonna be able to muster up any ultimates in that time.
Yeah, I know. I think that it's really just going to be down to how well this Dragon does. We've seen it do pretty good before and kind of baiting out the ultimates, but getting a kill could be a little bit harder. In comes the Matrix here. in front of it. Banana's just trying to eat as much as possible. Melon's actually able to take out 9 Socks, so they're not going to have the immortality now for the rest of the fight. With this Blizzard in the backline is able to pick up so many people that it might not even matter. A few still falling on the side of Forefront, but it looks like they're going to be able to hold this probably a little bit longer. But Bun and Falcon just kind of doing really good work together, staying synergized and making sure they're focusing that target. The Bongo comes down and the immortality to keep Finchu up here on the point. Nonsox doing what they can to keep Finchu alive, staying on this point here. More of the teammates are coming back right now. Actually, a rock to almost send him off the map. The Dragon coming through here is able to take out the Lucio, but Finchu goes down. The Blizzard right now could be able to take out Banana Demon. Doesn't look like it will. Melon, though, on that trace was actually able to pick up 3 kills now. If Melon's going to be looking for more, I mean, they're pretty much about to cap this point. Melon showing up absolutely big right there because of that Blizzard, able to put through a lot of damage and then follow that up with those kills. Finchu looks like he's frozen. He can't do much. He falls off the point here with that boop. They're just trying to stall it out for as long as possible. It's already in overtime. If they're going to be able to stall it for their teammates to come back so that way they can try to get this, so that way they don't cap it, make it the win. Could be possible, but no one's going to get on this cart. It looks like they barely make it here. The first kill comes out for Bun. It's just one. It's just Kydra on the point trying to stall it for as long as possible. They are eventually going to cap it, but the best they can do is a draw on against 4 minutes, and with how well they were playing, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it against Forefront.
They may just have delayed the inevitable. Forefront looking like they're going to be taking Kings. We're at 3 minutes 52 seconds. It's not even a minute, so you can't even really be happy with the fact that you know that a team is just going to have that one push and then everything's going to be over. No, you have to hold on. You have to weather the storm of ultimates being built up, and if you're Forefront, you've got all the time in the world to build up 6 glowing circles, waltz onto point, and just stomp over the team with sheer ults alone.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be very difficult for them to try to hold off against any of that. I mean, we got to see some crazy plays come out of the defense here, and it looks like they're just going to be running that standard meta composition that we've seen before. Honeybee kind of taking their time with an option, actually. It looks like they're going to go to the Zen. Okay, they're going to stick to that meta composition here. 1K, though, this is what I really wanted to see here, was that Pharah come through on the offense here and just kind of make a really big play, because I think that a Pharah on the offense for the first point of Kings Row could be absolutely decimating if you can't go up against it.
Especially if you're not really expecting it, because Pharah isn't really one of those must-see picks that we have on Kings Row attack, and so if you are the defenders, you have to play pretty much perfectly. You don't have the res available for mistakes to be erased. You have to be able to club send. You have to be able to take the Pharah out before she is able to just throw all of your composition into chaos with those concussion blasts. And so you have to have your walls in perfect place as well.
And right now it looks like they're playing the half and half, somewhat of a dive kind of stationary combo here. Looks like right now the first one going down is actually Kydra over on that Hanzo. Of course, just going to be able to get rezzed right up. They got to be careful, though. Everybody's kind of basing themselves around each other. Finchu looks like he's going to be stuck and actually frozen, but a really good immortality is going to keep him up for a little bit, but not for long. Of course, with so much focus fire, it's going to be nearly impossible to keep him up. And now it looks like they're probably going to want to stay a little bit more passive here. 1K just trying to fire in a few more rockets to see if they can't get a little more ult percentage.
But Forefront can afford this. They have 3 minutes left in the bank. ITK is already 50% of the way to a barrage. Archers can easily get an amplification matrix up and ready in that time. And if you combine those two, I dread to think what poor Honeybee is going to be able to react with, because the Transcendence is not going to be online to stop it.
Transcendence is, I think, the longest building ultimate in the game, and I think it even makes it harder considering that it's Zenyatta, where Lucio, I think, is second there, and, you know, at least he can get boops off, so maybe he can get that ult percentage pretty fast, but, you know, right now it's going to be very hard for them. Both of those matrices coming through and already losing out on Falcon, but 1K goes down. Of course, it's just going to be able to get res, except no, it's not. Melon is ready with the deny there on that res to make sure that they're going to be able to stay themselves there. But it looks like right now it's pretty even. I mean, the attacker spawn is so much closer, so you got to be really careful. I think they might want to play a little bit more passive and just kind of stay a little bit back while they wait for some of their teammates to get on point to make sure they don't get taken out themselves. Of course, that's really hard considering there's only this one tick.
Well, they do have the Blizzard in the pocket now as well, but oh no, I spoke too soon. Bun gets taken out by 1K. That was the pick that they needed. They know that the ult is going to be there, and that's going to force Honeybee to put the Transcendence in.
Yeah, right now the barrage was used behind to take out that Baptiste, and now they don't have as much heals as they would before. Of course, Kydra down, and now Melon to follow. It's going to be very hard for them to try to hold on to this point much longer. 1K raining in these rockets right now. Falcon, the last one on point for What's Your Peak to try to hold it. Bun coming back with that blizzard. And of course, it's no good. It's no good. Trying to make his way there. Stall at the point a little bit longer. A lot of people frozen. They might be able to get a few kills here if they were able to. They weren't quite. And it looks like this might be all over for What's Your Peak as they're just straggling to get in here. And they can't quite make it in time. Straggling. What's that? I meant struggling.
That was just an unfortunate delay, the inevitable. Forefront were going to be taking that no matter really what. You had to have an absolute iron-tight defense. Cracks were already beginning to show. The Batiste being taken out by the Farah barrage just goes to show that all of Forefront had the one goal in mind: take out the main support, because your nose then isn't going to be able to keep the rest of those 4 people alive.
Yeah, and I mean, it was going to be very difficult for them to begin with. And talking about all these different players and what they've been doing, 1DK just absolutely popped off this match. And looking at these teams, they've been doing a really good job. So don't forget to vote for your MVP down below. Remember, they get to come in for a post-match interview, so we get to kind of talk with them and we can kind of get the inner workings of what was going on during the match and what goes on before a match happens.
Yeah, but we do have to talk about the massive difference that we saw in Forefront style. We still saw Finchu going extremely aggressive. In fact, I think that was actually one point in that last push on Kings Row where I looked up and I saw him in the corridor above the point where the Widow normally stands, just putting in a little bit of damage onto What's Your Peak's backs, just enough to kind of tickle them and force them off the point just a little bit. And it seems like Forefront have really been able to find the value, with Finchu wanting to go aggressively and Banana Demon perhaps wanting to be just a little bit further away.
Yeah, that's definitely something it feels like they might need to work on. And as we go into this next map over on Eichenwald, I think that's something that they can kind of try to stay focused on here. It seems like they started to get more of that push back and forth, but that's only when they were really paired up against or really paired together with tank lineups that normally play the same kind of tempo. So if they were playing the Orisa Sigma, it looked like they were doing an amazing job kind of staying with each other, coordinating those pulls. Meanwhile, if it's the Orisa Ball, you know, maybe they're just getting a little too aggressive on ball, or maybe you're just not going in as much with the Orisa. And then we saw them go around Sigma before with the ball, and it just kind of felt like it was a little all over the place, a little scrambled. But it definitely looks like they're starting to get their footing together a lot more now.
But we are actually going to be getting a sub in for What's Your Peak. So this says to me, because new map, the sub player, they've figured out that the pharmacy is probably what's going to be coming out of those spawn doors. And they've got a plan on how to deal with it. And Zara coming in, Zara was starting to play, I think it was the Widow, and then swapped on to the Mei. No, started off on the Hanzo, then went to the Mei. So maybe they're going to be putting their trust into a different sniper this time around.
Yeah, it could definitely be the case here. You know, it's just they've been doing so good 1DK onto that Farah, and they did a great job on the Hanzo as well. So just trying to make sure that they're going to be able to stop them from making any plays further. I think they're definitely going to be someone they have in their sights when they're going to be on this attack here to try to mitigate whatever they can do to the best of their abilities, whether it's throwing a Sigma shield out right in front of their face so they can't even shoot at you, or whether it's just going to be immediately try to take them out. I think that probably is going to end up being their win condition here on Eichenwald.
They have to start dealing with it. They cannot just pretend to and put their heads into the sand and hope that the problem goes away on its own, because I can tell you that that's not how the game works. You have to start really pushing on those little bits of pressure points, because if you can take out that DPS who's been doing so much damage, you're already going to be doing so much better than we've been seeing previously.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about Eichenwald is just how many different things you can run. So I imagine we'll probably see that double sniper here on the defense if they think they're going to end up running this Farah Mercy, which I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe even on the defense run a Farah Mercy of your own if you're feeling comfortable with that. That wouldn't really surprise me too much. You know, I think it would be interesting to see if maybe we get something a little bit more cheeky when it comes to Eichenwald, because you can definitely see like some weird mashup of like maybe a Junkrat thrown in there. I've even seen like a Bastion being put in place of some hero that, I don't know, I've seen it like do okay on ladder. I really don't see it happening here, but I think it would be kind of fun to see what would happen here. Maybe it's total annihilation on one side or the other, but I mean, I don't know. It could be fun.
You just want to see the Bastion come out to play.
I
Well,
kind of just want to see the Bastion.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say that I want to see something which isn't necessarily meta, but it's still a Pharah counter, and that's Ashe. Because even with double shielding, if you can position your dynamites carefully, you can still find so much value with them. And if you hit those big 6 people, 4 people dynamites, your ult charges like absolute crazy. Not only that, but Ashe is so effective in shutting down Pharahs.
Yeah, Ashe can be very effective, especially if you got that Mercy pocket. So, I mean, she could be very fun to see here. Unfortunately, I don't think Bob gets as much use or is as effective as some wish it would be. It doesn't look like on the defense here they're going to be running anything too crazy. Of course, just going to be sticking with that staple meta composition that it's been for the past month or so. And on the offense, of course, you know, we're just going to have to give it a second, because as much as I would like to see some crazy dive come in here with this Genji, I don't think it's going to happen.
I am not holding my breath anytime soon, especially with It's No Good Junior gonna be swapping onto the Orisa. But Finchu not gonna be picking up the Hammond, gonna be onto the Orisa. So maybe the team are trying to rein in just a little bit of the tank's aggression, because as Orisa, you can't really get to play anything other than defensive mode.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to be running this Pharah on the offense here. But surprisingly, on the defense, they're not going to be running it. I really thought that 1K would end up running it here on the defense. I'm guessing that they just feel a little bit more comfortable playing the Hanzo here. You know, the Pharah isn't necessary on the defense, but on the offense, it feels like she can be a lot better. So just trying to keep an eye out for them and to make sure that they don't go in your back line too hard. Kind of like what's happening right now. They're playing a very different angle to try to get their attention away from the main team.
It's a very dangerous angle though, because you are taking your Mercy all the way away. So if that Pharah gets killed, your Mercy is effectively cut off.
Yeah, but that's why you got that res. You just gotta hope that you're gonna be able to use it. And like what just happened here, the Pharah's down, the res comes through, and of course 1K tries to go in there to stop that from happening, but not quite able to make that. So these immortality fields down right now though, and It's No Good is stuck on the other side of the wall as the immortality goes down, and they go down as well as soon as this matrix comes through. But Kaija is also gonna be going down here. So what looked like a more one-sided affair is starting to turn a little bit more into their favor. But as I say that, 1K just gonna pick up a couple kills really quick here, try to stop that from happening, but Zero is just out here getting as many picks as they can with this Mercy pocket.
It's a battle of the DPS at the moment, but we still have Forefront holding on strong to this point, and Zero coming down, followed by Basilisk, is going to make it so much harder for What's Your Peak to set up the presence.
Yeah, now going into this next one, this next fight here, they're going to have that barrage. I think that barrage is going to be key. Arx doesn't quite have his Transcendence, and then Nyansox, of course, that immortality can get taken out very fast by that barrage. You can still do a lot of damage and take that out at the same time, so you don't have to worry about it too much. So as long as they're going to be able to go on a weird angle here and try to make sure that they aren't going to be focused down too much, it should be okay. And here it comes out right now. They focus immortality, but they go down super fast. The rock actually hits them in the face, but 1K able to pick up a few here, and the dragon comes out, but Melon, of course, is just going to take out his counterpart there. But it looks like they aren't going to be able to do much. Arcs using that Transcendence, I don't think it was 100% necessary, but, you know, maybe it was. I'm not sure exactly what they might have seen. Maybe there's a few people low that I didn't notice, but maybe you're going to want that one back.
You're definitely going to want that one back. I'm looking at the ultimates available for What's Your Peak, and I'm seeing all of these that could have been cancelled out by a Transcendence, and it's going to hurt so much when this actual point comes through, because you've got the Sigma Flex. The Super Chargers are going down straight away. They know they have to initiate this defense and get picked up on the side to scare What's Your Peak away from using anything.
Yeah, but right now, Honeybee's already used their immortality field, so as they run up here, they got to be really careful of that. The Blizzard's going to come out here. You know, it looks like a few picks are coming out from both sides now. The Blizzard, though, they could take out Falcon right now. He's right behind that, and it looks like they are going to be able to do just that. Focusing quite a few people here. It looks like they're going to be able to hold out despite those ultimates coming right inside of their face.
Falcon still holding on to the Sigma Flux, though, the only ultimate currently on the board. And What's Your Peak, they're going to have the second one as well. That's the minute timer remaining. They still have something that can find this, and they're going to be swapping Zero off Pharah onto the Mei, picking up Basilisk onto the Zen, so that discode is going to come in handy. But again, I would prefer to see a Lucio. The speed burst could have been so key on this scenario.
Yeah, but getting everybody with that Flux right now is also a pretty big deal. Getting everybody to half their health right now. Of course, that immortality was up, but that's going to be using a lot of the resources right now to put through that healing. Everybody's really focused on trying to make sure they keep themselves up. Of course, it looks like right now they're going to be able to sustain themselves, so a little bit of a scare there for a second, but with only 20 seconds remaining on the clock, they're going to have to try to make something happen, and something happen quick.
They should have put in the amplification matrix as soon as that immortality field comes out. But again, it's like they're spooked. No one's going near the point. 13 seconds left. They're humming and hawing and not wanting to commit. And I think they're just going to run out of time.
Nah, I believe they're going to be able to make it to the point in time, but it's just going to be the Mei and the Sigma, so they got to make sure that they don't get picked off, waiting for the rest of their team to get there. Looks like Falcon's able to use his grasp to make sure that doesn't happen to him. But Zero on the Mei is going to get taken down, and so is Falcon. 1K out of the fight. What is possibly one of their best DPS players right now, but of course it's not going to matter when it's going to end up being a 2v6.
It's looking like it's going to go closer and closer to not that 3-0, not that 4-0. It's just gonna keep going today, Pozak. The Overwatch does not stop. And what's your peak? They played so well to begin with. They seem to be a little bit crumbling at the final hurdle. And it's almost again as if these teams have swapped sides, because suddenly the teams that were going really aggressive, they've pulled back completely.
Yeah, it just kind of seems like they like a fire lit under them. They were like, it's a 2-0. It's like, come on, guys. This is our first showing at this tournament. We really got to show up. We really got to impress. And that's exactly what they're doing. Honestly, 1K has just been doing an absolutely amazing job just showing up right now, just getting so many picks. I can't talk highly of this DPS player enough. There's definitely someone you want to just keep your eye on. They're just able to hit what feels like everything. And when it comes down to it, able to use that Hanzo to take out Pharah, is able to use the Hanzo to just headshot people all the way across the map, able to play the Pharah themselves. I mean, all around right now, showing themselves to be a very good projectile character.
Well, you wanted Pharah on the defense. You're getting Pharah on the defense. And it's going to be really nice to see, because Zera has such an advantage even before this battle begins, because he has control of that massive tower spiraling up in that square. So he has all of the opportunity to not get hit, which is not going to be available to 1DK. It's going to be such a dangerous field out there for that Pharah.
Yeah, and right now they're running, what they're on is a little bit weird. I think they're going to be switching it up. Looks like, yep, they're going to switch it over to the Baptiste. Are they going to stick on this Hammond? It looks like they are. Again, we'll see how this Hammond does. They don't have a Mei, so it should be a little bit easier for Finchu to kind of get around here and displace enemies, which they were doing a really good job at before when they didn't have the Mei to try to stop them. But of course, if the Mei does come out, might have to switch up the game plan. Finchu going around behind here to try to do something.
This is a little bit of a harkening back to King's Row. They've got 3 minutes 40 in the bank. They have all the time in the world. They need one take. They can afford to build up ultimates.
Yeah, and right now, just Finchu spinning around the point right now, trying to displace as many enemies as possible. And right now, it's no good, going pretty low on that Orisa, but it looks like they're going to be able to sustain themselves. Finchu has to go back for a little bit of healing. Melon, though, able to take out 1K on that Pharah. They're not going to be able to res that. Everybody's staying super close, super personal right now. And all the kills going over to the side of what's your peak right now. Oh, well, Melon's going to get taken out by 1K as they get back into the fight, but immediately taken back out by Zero.
It's not really looking very nice for the attackers right now. They are going to be pulling back. Finchu is 30% of the way away from those mines, and so he can just scatter them across the point, make it so hard for that contest to come through. But Zero coming closer to this barrage could just immediately shut down this next push.
Yeah, Finchu over here on the back line, just trying to get a little bit more damage in. He knows if he gets those mines that you can just toss them onto the point, and it's like no one's going to really be able to touch. They're all going to have to use their shields to break them, or maybe they're just going to have to use some other ability to try to make sure that they can go in there. Maybe throw that immortality down and try to use them, and out they come. And it looks like no one's really going to be affected too much by them. Getting that Orisa a little bit lower, though. All these ultimates right now on the side of what's your peak, they got to be careful when they're going to use them right now. They're actually able to take out Arcs and Hydra after a few of their own get taken out right now, but it looks like reses are coming through on both sides. But one of the Mercies are actually going to get taken out after that res, very soon after the Matrix comes down. But thrown down and completely left behind. They want to go for this point. They might just be able to cap it. No one's going to be able to touch the point. Zero actually makes his way over to the point just in time. Now it's no good, all alone on the point, waiting for his Tracer to get back, but dies. So not enough time for them to get back. Forefront takes another map.
It's getting so close. So this is beginning to feel so much like that first series that we got to see today. I think we're going the full distance today, Polzak, for both of these games.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not something you can be too upset about. It's always nice to see these teams kind of, it's not nice to see a blowout. You know, you kind of feel bad for one of the teams. So seeing it kind of go a little more side to side with these teams, a little back and forth action going on right now, it's a very fun thing to watch. And I mean, crazy games.
So Finchu, I prefer seeing on the Orisa. I'm going to be brutally honest. The guy seems like he can rein his aggression in as long as he's on that tank, but as soon as the Hammond play starts to come out, it's like there's this little voice in the back of his head that's telling him to go on all these devilish little flanks and abandon his team and just dive straight into the enemy base, and it's not really been working out for him. But when he goes on the Orisa, that's when we get to see the cooperation, the cohesion, and really starts being that well-oiled machine that Kanto was talking about.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the Hammond that's the issue, but maybe more the style of Hammond he's playing. He's playing very much to when he displaces people, he's not really pushing anybody straight into the rest of his team. It kind of feels like he's more just going for these pile drives that are going to try to net himself a kill when there's still so much sustain from the enemy team that it's going to be very hard for something like that to happen, where as if he were to hit somebody into his team and displace them, that there's going to be so much follow-up, it doesn't matter about the sustain, and that they're going to be taken out relatively immediately.
Well, that's the difference. I think you see that the clearest in Reinhardt's. The Reinhardt's that charge into the enemy team and immediately die, or the Reinhardt's that charge out of the enemy team, bringing with them a gift of a kill.
Yeah, and I think that's just something they might want to look more for in the future going up against other teams. Right now, I think this certain playstyle is not working too well against this team. They were able to get a fairly good defense and then a really good cap onto that point, but now we're going to be going on to Lijiang Tower, where we're probably going to see that ball again. So we're going to see if maybe he's kind of learned that it's not really the best to go for those specific, me kills over in the back line, and maybe just kind of go for more of the, hey, let me just displace this guy, and then all the team can follow up on it.
It's a worry, though, because Hammond on Lijiang Tower is one of those maps where many Hammond players like to make excuses and bring out the Hammond, because you have those rollouts on, say, Night Market or Garden, where you can just immediately go out of spawn and get some absolute wacky kills as people try to cross either the bridge or move on to that point.
Yeah, and I think what could be really interesting to see here is on Night Market, if they decide actually to stick to the meta, both teams, and kind of see what happens from there instead of using this ball. I'd kind of like to see, like how you were talking about that Orisa matchup. I don't think Finchu's kind of playing that Hammond right, but I think he's definitely playing that Orisa super well. I think that maybe if they were to be a little more aggressive, though, that they may have the upper hand against What's Your Peak, because of the fact that they have been a little bit more passive themselves and kind of feel like they're waiting for something to happen instead of taking the initiative, that it could really just turn the tides in your favor even more.
Well, Finchu is going to be locking in. At the moment, that preview is showing the Orisa, so they're not going to be hounding Honeybee as a hamster in the backline, and we're really seeing a difference in how that Zen is playing. He went from being so aggressive on King's Road to being completely cowed on Eichenwald. And so now it's really going to be interesting to see whether or not he's found that sweet spot, when to go aggressive, when to go defensive, because if he can stay alive but continue to get a couple of picks, it's going to open things up for his team. But it's going to be two Mays on the field, Porzak. We get to say that again, and it feels like every map we've seen has just been so much May today.
Yeah, let's go May. Whoop. As they started off here, though, the wall to actually stop a little bit of that aggression that could make themselves go on to the point. Now, the first one's on the point, being What's Your Peak, already now having the advantage here. They don't really have any shields they can put up just quite yet, so they're just tanking a little bit of this damage for the time being here. They use the wall again, doesn't really see much value out of it, though. Meanwhile, the other wall sees a lot of value. A good rock is able to hit onto Honeybee, getting him super low, and now actually able to get him taken out by Hydra. In the backline, though, Melon's just taking some shots from afar, trying to find anybody that they can kill. The Matrix for both teams are already up super fast right now. They got to be really careful. Neither of them really want to peek this Matrix. Looks like What's Your Peak, though, is using it a little bit more. But it looks like Hydra's actually going to be the one getting the kill here. The Matrix, while it was down for those last few seconds, they switch over, get those few kills. And while the percentage may be going up for What's Your Peak, it looks like Forefront is going to be the one that's taking this over.
Oh, Honeybee is in danger of staggering himself out. Is able to get out. The Hanzo as well. Orb of Harmony on their head. Gonna have a little bit of a snipe off. Oh, does come in, and oh no, it catches the Zen! Honeybee talked earlier about being a little bit too aggressive, but that was way too close to be sticking around to a team fight, especially when that pull is an ability in the game, and it's not looking good for What's Your Peak, as again, they're just forced off that point.
Yeah, now going up to this next fight here. Both these Sigmas super close to their ultimates here. I'm expecting to see it as soon as they get it on line, but it looks like they're just going to back up to point here. They're not going to want to be super aggressive. They don't want to make a mistake that could let What's Your Peak take over this point. They know their win condition. They know that as soon as they use this ultimate after this pull, the immortality's out, but it's in a good position so that way nothing can happen to them. It does get taken down, though. A lot of damage through him. Banana Demon actually able to pick up 3 kills off of that Flux. Really good so far. Make that 4. Banana Demon absolutely going in and collecting their souls.
Yeah, Forefront, they're just gonna be sticking on that point like limpets right now. So many ultimates in the back pocket as well. What's Your Peak? They have to start coming in. They have to start initiating. They need to put Blizzard down. And that is a nice way to open things up. 1DK down, no res available. You can move in and collect your dudes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they got stopped by something. But it looks like actually the Baptiste is going to go down through that Matrix. Now followed up with this Blizzard here. Again, just a little bit of healing from Arc's Transcendence is going to be able to keep them up for a little bit longer. But unfortunately, they're going to be going down right about now. And I think what happened with 1DK was he tried climbing up the wall, but it like stopped him somewhere and he fell back down, or he got pulled. Something must have happened because he was like pretty far pushed up for a long period of time.
Very strange occurrences indeed, but he's not going to be too disheartened. He has a dragon ready and waiting, and it's going to be forcing Honeybee to try and put that Transcendence in when you really want to be holding on to it, especially with Kydra going to be waiting on that Blizzard the second that one goes in.
Yeah, an immediate 2 fast picks here, followed up with that Bongo the Dragon, actually forcing the Transcendence to come out. I'm not sure if you want to use it just then. You know you got one more fight coming up. Maybe you just want to save that. You know that that fight's probably going to end up being a loss there, but I think they just didn't want to end up dying. Unfortunately, I think that's going to cost them what could be this point.
They give up the point in a full rotation, which is so strange, and now it's going to be coming in last fight territory. Kydra puts the Blizzard in, but is it too little too late?
I don't know. It could be possibly too little too late indeed. They don't really have much to follow it up. As soon as everybody's firing at their counterparts to make sure they go down, it's just going to be the first point going over to the side of Forefront now.
It's strange that we're seeing Forefront really come alive in maps that we didn't really expect it. These guys, they've seemed to be quite an aggressive team, but also very good at the defense. So managing to keep a hold of the point, but also managing to go just a little bit more kind of for the kills than we're used to. Other than 1DK coming in, these guys haven't really been initiators. The two that stick out are Finchu and 1DK. They're the ones who've been opening things up, but the rest of the team starting to actually pull into those kill weights as well. And so What's Your Peak? If they want to really manage to take this map, they're gonna have to rely on absolutely everything in their arsenal, but not only that, they're gonna have to use this Mei Walls impeccably.
Yeah, and right now I'm actually liking more on the side of What's Your Peak's composition. I love the Reinhardt here. I think the Reinhardt's an amazing play. I think right now what they're going to want to try to do is just keep their distance then, because they're running this Reinhardt. They don't want to get close quarters with him because that hammer just does so much damage, swinging it up right in front of their face. And of course they're running the Reaper as well. A close quarters composition, kind of meeting with this longer range composition of double shield here. So it's going to be a little bit tougher for them. Both of these teams are able to contest the point right now. Finchu using his Fortify a little bit sooner though, so maybe they want to run in and focus him down while that's up. With the Holt right now trying to follow up with a little bit of damage. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. This Matrix is down now, and it looks like Falcon going to go for a pin. Nyansock, she's the first one down here, and it looks like Hydra falling behind. This point looks like it's going to be first going over to What's Your Peak, but it did take a little bit of time.
Yeah, but they're gonna have ultimates built up because of that. Basilisk is getting pretty close to that Scion Barrier, but Archers is the one to really watch out for at the moment. Him and 1DK, they're gonna have 2 ultimates on the line, and also their aggressive ultimates for Zach, so they could actually be able to just get through the choke alone in the shadow and silhouette of that dragon. What's Your Peak? They're gonna be looking to wall them off. But when you hear the Hansel's voice line, you tend to start running in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I mean, all these ultimates right now that they're going to have for Forefront is going to be very difficult going up against. This Matrix, though, is something that I can see being very good, especially if they get a good pull in here. They're actually able to take out It's No Good, and the Immortality comes down pretty much soon after. They're going to have to be very careful now on the side of What's Your Peak to not get super aggressive and just kind of stay on point for as long as they can, because there's really no way I think they can win this right now, and they're probably realizing that more and more as there's only 2 left on the point, now just 1. That Lucio just running around, jumping off of walls, jumping on corners, and finally getting taken down by Arcs.
but you did manage to buy yourself 49%. You've got ultimates, you've got things that can see you through this choke. They're gonna be looking for a little bit of a rotation, so they're not going all the way from main, because if you look, there is a little bit of an Orisa gonna be taking the high ground, the high road. Gonna be looking for a drop down, maybe try to surprise Forefront, who are no doubt going to be looking to set up a couple of ultimates and blizzards of their own.
Well, the surprise doesn't look like it's actually going to work. They had that Sonic up there, but now running forward, it looks like they're going to get a pretty good sound barrier in here to counter that Sigma Flux. But both these blizzards going down could spell danger for one of these teams. It looks like these Immortalities keeping players up. Nyan Sock, she's the first one out though. The Dragon coming through with the bongos now on both sides yet again. Zero also now getting taken out here. Both these bongos still up for all their duration. Up at the top now, you have your Matrix and the Death Blossom coming through here, just running left and right, trying to get as many kills as possible. Melon able to pick up 2 with that, make that 3, put them on the board, and it looks like they're going to finally flip this point back over.
Melon coming up huge. Both of these DPS and both of these teams have really been pulling their weight. And it's so nice to see. And now, please, watch your peak. You've got the... Why are teams not doing the stay pause? Like, they're just playing the point. They're not playing the choke. And that's where the Mei finds the value. Especially with the Reinhardt. You wall them up, you separate them, and then the Rein charges them to the brink of death.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but it looks like they're going to take a really quick fight here with this Lucio speed boost. They're actually able to pick up Kydra. Absolutely massive, losing out on that Mei, but behind them, they got to realize there's one Decay trying to pick up any kills they can, but Melon's just going to run in there and pick up arcs. So it looks like this fight's going to be one for them. They're able to actually get out the Sigma as well, but 1Decay still in the backline, able to take out the Mei. So maybe if they're able to group up fast enough, they could make their way in here and take the point back.
Yeah, Zara gonna be taking out the tail end of that, but Falcon is the one with the Shadow online. Has to land at 97%. If you're Forefront, you want to try and contest, but it's not gonna happen. No one's able to touch, not even Finchu on the ball. And once again, we're going the distance. 1-1. On Li Zhang gonna be taking us into Garden.
All right, Gardens, the last map. I mean, this is going to be interesting here. All down to this, and it looks like right now they're going to be staying on that Hammond. Maybe? Okay, Falcon teased the Roadhog a little bit. I think that would have been fun to see here, especially since they know that Finchu has been running that Hammond for quite a while now and probably will continue to on this map. Doesn't look like the Pharah matchup is going to be something we're going to be seeing here. I'm a little surprised by that. And they don't really have too good of an answer against 1Decay running that Pharah Mercy, unless Melon, of course, is going to be able to hit them out of the sky, which they have proved to have been able to do before. So we're going to have to see what happens here.
Well, don't sleep on Batiste's DPS. He is more than capable of taking a Pharah out, and 1Decay already falling. The low half HP is going to be healed up by the pocket, and it's Watch Your Peak actually whose HP bars is suffering the most.
Yeah, actually caught out of position. Melon, a great job there by Finchu. He actually managed to get him way out of position there. He kind of boosted forward to try to get a quick pick. Finchu notices this, runs in there, boops him forward, calls it out. The Pharah is able to capitalize on it alongside him. But onto the point right now is What's Your Peak so far, and are they going to be able to actually cap it? No, not quite. The Pharah makes it there just in time, so no percentage for them is actually going to be capped. They're able to go in there and just take out all the 2 people that are left on point.
Well, this is what happens when you've got a Batiste and a Hanzo trying to contest a pharmacy. The Pharah in one fight, not even before the point unlocks, has Barrage online. And we're seeing Watch Your Peak immediately understand this threat. Melon's going to be onto the McCree, but it's so hard to find the value. You have to get to the high ground, and 1Decay is not going to allow that to happen.
Yeah, and a really good Maywall actually stops them from going into this little area where they definitely want to be going into to try to negate a lot of that Pharah damage. So now as they're slowly making their way through here, the Pharah's going to have to try to make their way around. But the Matrix comes down. Melon actually is able to take out 1Decay. Tries to get res, manages to get res, but then loses their own life to Melon, who's absolutely hitting all of their shots that they need to right now. Melon getting super low, but of course getting healed by this Baptiste. Meanwhile, everyone else on point for Forefront is getting taken out by everyone else.
It's looking like Watch Your Peak are going to be able to get that flip coming in, and Melon only been playing McCree for a couple of moments. Already Deadeye up, and 1Decay hasn't actually had any chance to put the barrage in, but Zera going down. That is not how your defense wants to begin. And so Melon is just going to have to put that Deadeye in as soon as he sees the pharmacy to try and stay Forefront off.
Yeah, they got to be careful. Right now, the mines in, though, are going to be able to separate off the tanks from the rest of the team, but not for long. That Immortality is going to come out, and the High Noon also coming through to try to keep them away from there. But the Blizzard splitting off all of their team. They're going to be able to cap this point, actually, probably, maybe, possibly, I don't know. Right now, 1Decays though is going to be able to get quite a few kills as they're running in here. They got the point back. They still have Barrage. They still have their Matrix.
They've still got absolutely huge ultimates, which are going to allow them to see through this next team fight. Because yes, Zara has got the Blizzard, and that can be big. But Archers is going to be that with that Immortality field. He's just not really getting the same amount of pressure that Honeybee is feeling with 1DK getting that overhead crossfire.
Yeah, right now, what's your peak? Just trying to make their way over to the point. The matrices for both teams are going down right now, but the Barrage from behind getting eaten up by a little bit by the Sigma. But of course, losing Melon and now losing both main tanks, both sides. The picks just going 1 for 1, it looks like right now. It doesn't look like it's anybody's definite fight, but possibly Nyan Sock, she's able to actually res up the Baptiste. A huge res that's going to be able to keep them on the point much, much longer with so much healing in that Immortality field. They've essentially taken this fight now. Going into last fight territory, they're going to have to hurry up and regroup on What's Your Peak.
Watch your peak, they've still got the sign barrier though, and that is going to be so big because they have the 2 ultimates in the game at the moment. So much sustainability on their side. IDK can pull up to a barrage, we've seen this guy before, but Kaiser is the one they have to get out of the fight early. The Blizzard cannot be on the table for the team.
Yeah, and right now they use the Immortality already behind to keep himself up, but it looks like they could have used it possibly a little bit farther up. They took a lot of damage, but they were able to keep themselves sustained. Finchu though, getting a little bit low onto that ham, and that Blizzard turning into an absolutely massive way to control a lot of space on the point here, and everybody's falling down. It looks like it's finally time for this match to be over as more and more of What's Your Peak falls. Forefront is able to take today's win with a reverse sweep as well.
And that is why you absolutely have to knuckle down and focus, Maze, because Blizzard can just turn the tide in a snap of the fingers.
Yeah, I mean, the Blizzard can be so good, whether it's actually able to free so many people, but I think it also did a really good job there because it just controlled so much space, because that there was only like a sliver of the point they could actually walk onto, and so they had to back up, and it just led for more people had their backs turned, and of course they're just gonna get shot at, you know, so might as well. And don't forget right now, hurry up and vote for your MVP. So the match is over, hurry up, put your votes in. We're gonna be able to have a interview with them pretty shortly here.
Well, like, who would you say is your MVP of today?
I mean, let's be honest here. It's 1Decay. They were able to turn the fight completely around. You know, after those first 2 maps, it was looking really, really scary for Forefront, but then they were just kind of able to completely take it back, and just 1Decay was absolutely popping off, whether it was on the Hanzo or the Pharah, just absolutely all around great DPS player.
Oh, absolutely. This guy was coming up big in all of the ultimates. And all of the picks that they needed, they provided. But I mean, on the other side, What's Your Peak? They still had some pretty good plays of their own. I'm never gonna forget Falcon's triple K.
Yeah,
Fire strike for the Baptiste amplification matrix. Like moments like those, you treasure your clip and you put on YouTube because you're damn well proud of it.
Yeah, maybe you're screaming a certain YouTuber's name when something like that happens. You know, maybe it just comes to mind. I'm not going to name one of the 2. I don't want to play favorites here. So I'll just let your own brain fill in that slot. But, you know, I mean, it's such a coordinated thing to do, and you love to see such good coordination come out, because you have to perfectly time the matrix, the fire strike, and the pulls to make sure everyone's together at the same time. So the fact that they're able to pull something like that off shows you that this team can be very coordinated, and that they can definitely take out a team if they have a specific mistake that they're going to be able to notice.
Yeah, well, I think it took a while for Forefront to really accustom to What's Your Peak's playstyle, and maybe if What's Your Peak had continued or managed to actually pull through that 3rd map that they so needed in the beginning, we would be looking at something a little bit different. But as it is, Forefront, they managed to shoulder on through, and they will be taking today quite well deserved, I would say. These guys, they played their socks off today.
Yeah, it's definitely a team to keep your eyes on if you're going to be going up against them soon in the future here, because the fact that, I mean, pulling off a reverse sweep is absolutely insane. You got to keep yourself mentally sharp, and you got to understand that the enemies are going to be the ones picking the next 3 maps. So, are going to be picking the next 2 maps after you take that first one. So you're going to be at a technical disadvantage because you don't have that map choice going into it. So it's going to be very hard to kind of go along with that.
It's one of those where you really do have to keep your cool, and even more surprising is the fact that these guys, they haven't been playing together long. They formed in December, and they managed to keep their cool through some things that really teams who've been together for months still cannot hold a candle to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that just goes to show that the absolute skill of these players is massively high, and they're going to be able to just continue to see good fortune going into next matches.
Yeah, but I have been told that we do indeed have an MVP, and it is gonna be well deserved. Congratulations to Nyan Sox, and they will be joining us shortly.
Yeah, pretty excited here. Nyan Sox was doing a really good job on that Baptiste, I feel like.
Yeah, and also a really good job on the Mercy, making sure that the Pharah was constantly topped up, making sure that 1DK survived the barrage, because it's not just the Pharah pressing Q, you do have to have that communication with your support, that system in place to make sure that you live, because every Pharah main will tell you, it's not about surviving the barrage, it's about how many people you take with you to the gates of hell.
Definitely. I do believe that they are in the car right now. Are you here with us, Nyan Sox?
Yeah, hi.
All right, hello. All right, hey, congratulations on getting MVP, and congratulations on your amazing reverse sweep today.
Thanks. It was like really hard.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I mean, trying to pull off a reverse sweep is definitely the most difficult thing I can think of when it comes to facing someone in Overwatch. And you guys obviously have a great mental fortitude, and even though you may not be the longest together team, you guys seem to mesh together really well.
Yeah, we have like a really good synergy. Like we've only been together for like a couple of weeks, and like everyone's just kind of clicked.
Yeah, and what would you say, did you think that it's just kind of like everybody just kind of clicked automatically, or did you guys kind of like do some team exercises to kind of make things like that click really fast?
At the beginning, it was like we had like really good synergy, but it was kind of like a raw synergy. But over like the first couple of weeks, we did a lot of like team like practices where we just worked on fixing our comm structure, and that really fixed a lot of our problems with like our team synergy. And now we're like playing at a really good level together.
Yeah, as we could see from today's match, and being the main support and doing a quite very good job at it, to be honest with you. Are you someone who's making a lot of these calls, or is it more up to someone else on your team?
Essentially, Finchu and Banana Demon are our main shot callers, but I mainly do more like assisting shot calls, so where I'm like alt tracking for our team and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, Baptiste, a character that can be very overpowered if used in the right way. I mean, the immortalities are so important. What kind of, for you, makes an immortality bad versus good?
Essentially, usually in a lot of these like fights, you want to either be using your Baptiste like immortality, like squeezing it as close as possible, because you don't want to like have the enemy team have that advantage of having the Baptiste immortality, and you're wanting it to throw it in defensive positions like around a corner, to where your team gets value from it, but the enemy team can't shoot it, so that it lasts for its full 8 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the way to go about it. As long as they can't shoot at it and it's up for those 8 seconds, it's pretty much just free time to be able to shoot at the enemy and not really have any repercussions to say. And it's also, I think, it probably helps build up your ult percentage quite a bit too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Actually, a lot of teams, what they'll do is they'll, at like the beginning of a match or something, we'll just let our shield go down, and then we'll immediately immortality the corner, and we'll just build bat box ults by just like having the enemy team continuously shoot at us because we can't die, and then I get like a bat box ult in like the first minute.
Well, that's a pretty good tip that I'm sure a lot of people can take with them into their own matches. That's a pretty good one. I think I might even have to do that, even though I rarely play support. I think Baptiste is fun, so I might try that out to see if I can't get some people to do that alongside me.
Yeah, he's definitely a DPS.
Yeah, he's definitely where you can have the most fun, but where you kind of play the most support is when it really comes down to that Mercy, and trying to stick with that Pharah. What's something that makes you go away from that Pharah, where it's just kind of like, okay, right now the Pharah shouldn't be my number one priority?
Essentially, I'm usually focusing on if a tank needs critical support, or if my Baptiste needs critical support. because a lot of times my Pharah is not getting contested too heavily unless they're running like a Widowmaker or a double sniper comp. So a lot of times, even though for the most part, I'm going to be sticking with the Pharah, it's okay to leave for like a 3-second interval to save a fellow support or another tank to help our team win.
Yeah, that's definitely a good call. Moxie?
I mean, I'm a support player myself. In fact, I've played a fair bit of Batiste, and I was reading the patch notes today, and Batiste has been hit with a couple of changes. It's interesting that you mentioned to really squeeze those immortality fields. It's going to be changed to 5-second duration, 25-second cooldown. Do you think this is going to make Batiste any less impactful, or do you still think immortality field is going to be as strong as it currently is?
I think that the fact that it kind of like provides that, you know, you can't really die in it is always going to be valuable. I do think that Baptiste will probably remain meta for a while, but it's going to be like a higher skill gap, especially with this cooldown rotation, because you're going to have to be squeezing your Baptiste a lot more often to stay alive in like big ultimate fights and stuff like that.
All right, well, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, that's definitely probably the way you're going to want to play it always.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, as a Batiste and as a Mercy, you normally tend to get quite pressured from the enemy teams because you have some pretty key abilities which have some pretty insane cooldowns. How do you keep a hold of those abilities and only use them in the situations? Is there any secret to staying calm?
Hide behind your main tank or hide behind your Pharah.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Ryan means safety.
Yeah.
I tend to run to my Orisa and say, hey, there's a Mei in the back line, she's being mean to me.
Yeah, just don't let them bully you, just hide around your other players.
Have you ever pulled out the Mercy pistol and shot a couple of people who've tried to jump you?
Yeah, a lot of times. A lot of times it usually comes when my Pharah will get picked, and then I have to go for a res. I tried to do it against Melon, but he just wouldn't peek me, so I just went for the res anyways.
Well, congratulations on your victory. It's been a long fought and deserved one, so we'll let you go get some rest. But before you do go, is there anyone that you want to shout out?
I'd like to shout out Fua and the Forefront Esports team. I couldn't have done this without any of you guys. I love all of you gamers.
All right, well, sounds good. Oh, sorry, Moxie, you want to go ahead?
No, I was gonna say, I think that's all the time that we have, because like, it's been such a long day of Overwatch today, but some really cool plays that are definitely gonna be sticking in my mind for a while to come.
Yeah, definitely. And a big thanks and a congratulations for being able to come into this interview. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on getting your MVP and for getting the win today, Nine Sox.
Thanks, dude.
No problem. All right. You have a good one. Have a good day.
Yep, you too.
All right. And with that begins the closing of today's match. It's pretty good. 2 matches today that went the mile. I mean, we had one that goes 6, the next one goes 5. So definitely going to have to drink a little bit of warm tea after this match to make sure my throat doesn't absolutely collapse on me tomorrow.
I mean,
But
surely
overall,
the
a fun
next
time.
step is a 7 map. I'm still waiting for a 7 map of Overwatch.
I'm not waiting for a 7th map. I think 5 or 6 is just fine for me.
Well, do you not want to see it goes to 5, then the 6th one's a draw, then the 7th one's a draw?
I mean, you know, it'd be cool to see, I guess, but I don't know how my throat would like it that much.
I'm sure you'll find out tomorrow. You should definitely drink plenty of water. But it's been wonderful as always casting today with you, Pozak. Wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, honestly, it's always a great time to come out here, start esports. So don't forget everybody to follow here on Twitch. Check out our social media, YouTube, where we post all of these VODs so you can go back and watch them in case you missed any of the action, or just in case maybe you want to look back on some teams that you may be going up against in the future for those of you who are playing in the tournament. I've been Poor Zach, your play-by-play caster. You can find me over at Twitch, where you can pretty much find all my other social medias or things that you can go and check out. And Moxie?
You can find me at Twitter at GutMoxie. Come by, say hello. My door's always open to discuss all of the tricky difficulties of meta and why some heroes are so annoying.
All right, and with that being said, that's where we're going to end it off today. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, don't forget to follow and keep up with all the action here at Star Esports. Thank you and have a good one.